talk about modal interchange. Modal interchange is when you borrow chords from a parallel key or scale in place of diatonic chords. And to me, modal interchange really adds color and interest to the piece, and it also brings out many interesting cadences and resolutions. Let's get into the details. I think it would be worth noting what a parallel key or scale is and what a relative key is. So a parallel key or a parallel scale is just a different key or scale built on the same tonic or starting note. So if you started off with maybe a D major scale, so D was the starting note of that scale. If you wanted a parallel key or scale, you could have maybe D natural minor, or even D mixolydian. So those two are examples of parallel keys or parallel scales. Now let's move on to relative keys. So a relative key contains the same notes, but it's in a different order. If you have the C major scale, it'd be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But the relative key of that would be A minor, which has the same accidentals, but it just starts on A instead of C. The same thing would apply to, let's say, A major and F sharp minor. In order to borrow chords from a parallel scale or key, we need to know the chords built off of the scales. So let's see the D major chords. But first of all, I just want to point out that the chords in the bottom are generic for any major scale. So you would have the 1 major 7, the second degree would be a minor 7 chord, the third degree of the scale would be a minor 7 chord again, and you'd have a 4 major 7, a 5 dominant 7, a 6 minor 7, a 7 minor 7 flat 5, and then back to the 1 major 7. So let's take a look at what these D major chords sound like. If we wanted a parallel key, one of our options is D harmonic minor. So for any harmonic minor scale, you would have the chords 1 minor major 7, 2 minor 7 flat 5, a 3 augmented major 7th, which is very rare, a 4 minor 7, a 5 dominant 7, a 6 major 7, a sharp 7 diminished 7, and it's a sharp 7 because in the harmonic minor scale, the 7th degree is raised by a half step. And then after that, we're back to the 1 minor major 7. So let's take a look at what the D harmonic minor chords sound like. Let's say we have a 2-5-1 progression in D major. So that would be an E minor 7 to an A dominant 7 and back to D major. So let's hear what that would sound like. If we wanted to substitute or borrow a chord from the parallel key, in this case it's D harmonic minor, let's see which chords we can substitute. So let's go with the first chord, which is an E minor 7. So since that's the second chord of the D major scale, we could easily substitute that with the second chord of the D harmonic minor scale. And as we saw above, that would be the E minor 7 flat 5. So that's the chord that we are bringing in from D harmonic minor. So let's see what the chord progression sounds like with modal interchange. As you see, the B flat added a tension that was later resolved in the next chord, so it gives the chord progression more interest. So what if we had a more complicated chord progression? So here we have a diatonic 1, 6, 2, 5, 1 chord progression in D major. So that'd be a D major 7 to B minor 7 to an E minor 7 to an A dominant 7 and back to a D major 7. So here's what that would sound like. Now let's spice it up with a bit of modal interchange. So here's the 1-6-2-5-1 D major chord progression with modal interchange. So as you can see, the pink chords over here are the ones that we brought in from D harmonic minor. So instead of a B minor 7, we have a B flat major 7. And instead of an E minor 7, we have an E minor 7 flat 5. So let's hear what that sounds like. Let's try a different key now. Let's do C major. So here are the C major chords. And we have to choose a parallel key for modal interchange. So this time let's do C natural minor. So here are the chords for C natural minor. Now let's start off with a C major diatonic chord progression. So here I have C major 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G dominant 7, and back to C major 7. If we want to add modal interchange, then we could substitute the E minor 7 for an E flat major 7, and maybe an F major 7 to an F minor 7. So let's hear how the chord progression changes when we borrow chords from the C natural minor scale. Now let's choose a new parallel scale to go with C major. And for the parallel scale, I chose C mixolydian because any scale that starts on a C can be a parallel scale of C major. So in mixolydian, the 7th is lowered by a half step, and you can see my video on modes for more information about the major modes. So in C mixolydian, you'd have the C dominant 7, D minor 7, E minor 7 flat 5, F major 7, G minor 7, A minor 7, B flat major 7, and then C dominant 7. So here's what it sounds like. So we're going to take the same C major progression we had before, but we're going to borrow chords from C mixolydian this time. So instead of an E minor 7, I borrowed the E minor 7 flat 5 from C mixolydian. So let's see what it sounds like. And the E minor 7 flat 5 there almost sounds like a secondary dominant resolving to F major and continuing the progression onward. All this time we've started off with a major key and borrowed chords from the minor key or other scales, but now we're going to start off in a minor key and borrow chords from the major scale. So here we're primarily in C natural minor, and here is the diatonic chord progression. If we add modal interchange, then we can turn this F minor 7 into an F major 7, and instead of the G minor 7, we can substitute a G dominant 7, and that would provide a smoother cadence, a 5-to-1 cadence. So let's hear what the C natural minor chord progression with modal interchange sounds like. I hope this video helped you gain a better understanding of modal interchange. Do comment below if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.